Hello everybody, AOG Gaming here, back with another video on Outer Plane. So today we're going to go everything with Outer Plane that makes it bad, or more importantly, the reason why a lot of people ended up leaving. So I can show you immediately by just going to my clan, and there are whales in my clan, but they left because they saw the state of the game. And it's not the or dolphins. I guess you can call them a dolphin because they actually don't have an insane account, but they have a ridiculous account still. So we just go to my guild, right? And then maybe this is just my guild, but like 55 days ago, some of them are fine, but still 2 weeks after logging in, Scruffle's almost 3. He's the guild leader too. Oh, not anymore, I am, but that's because he wasn't logging on. But yeah, and then they love to hate like this person 92 days ago. And I was thinking, so what is the problem, right? What is the problem? Because I've seen this, been playing this game for a while, and it's been very fun for 2 weeks. But as y'all have started to notice recently, it's been slowing down progress a lot. And I recently faced one paywall, and I was like, okay, that's a red flag. So instead of continuing to say that this game is viable for free to play, I'm still gonna say it's the best free to play because I think it's revolutionary in the gacha market that you can unlock a 3-star hero and you can 6-star it by just playing the game. I still think that is revolutionary. But it's not enough because this company is still doing what every other gacha gaming industry has done in the past, and that is the law of diminishing returns. It seems to be the hottest shit for gacha gaming, and I fucking hate it. It is the scummiest tactic they use to make a game not free to play, to basically lure players in and then they end up just leaving. That's what happened with this game. That's why people left. And I will show you everywhere where that is happening. And specifically for free to play, this happens after 3 weeks of playing the game. Once you hit that chapter 9-11, you end up hitting the paywall, which is Leo. That battle literally one-shots your team. It is ridiculous. That paywall, it is fucking ridiculous. And people can't argue with me on it. Go ahead and play it. Use a level 60 team that is 10k more powerful than the boss, and you will still get nuked out of existence. Maybe one hero or two will be left, but one will be at very low health and the other one will be like at half. Go ahead and do that and tell me that that was fun. Tell me that that's not a paywall. And then do the chapter before that and tell me how fucking easy that was. You probably could have done it in auto, right? That is what I'm talking about. It is like something so obvious that it is literally a step up from like, oh yeah, so here is the actual difficulty of what's going to happen later on in the game. And really what it does is it just shows you companies are still using paywalls, and it is a law of diminishing return that keeps players from staying on these games, from continuing playing these games, and ultimately why these games end up dying and crashing. Yes, E7 has been lasting for a while, but even then, I don't see that game as a good game. It is still free to play friendly, but I don't see it as a good game. I can confidently. Ooh, I just drank some water and it went down the wrong pipe. So I can confidently say that in the gacha gaming market, there is not a single game that is actually a good game. I can say that wholeheartedly. And people can slander me or try and contradict me. It's true. I don't care how fucking pretty their visuals are. You should not have to spend a single dime for that. If it is a free to play game, or if they're marketing it as a free to play game, a game for everybody. That is essentially what a free to play game is. It's a game for everybody because free to play is mainly meant for the average players. The companies don't give a shit about people who pay not a single dime, but they care about people who pay money. The thing is, when they screw free to play players, they're also screwing those people who only spend a little bit amount of money, and that makes up most of these markets. So it comes down to the fact that these markets don't know what they're doing because they've been scamming people with games for like 10 years now. And it is a big problem. This is why Honkai Star Rail is better than Genshin Impact right now. But even those two games are slowly dying right now. And it's the thing, right? It comes down to these three things, right? An over diluted pool, and so over diluted pool. It comes down to first that. So let's talk about that first, because there's a lot to this. So over diluted pool. How does this happen? Well, companies love to release content, right? And I love that companies release content. The problem with the gacha gaming industry is that when they release characters or multiple of them, especially when they're part of the premium characters, what they do is they add those to what the rate up is. So getting a specific character becomes that much more harder. Happens is that the pools become so diluted that you can get like hundreds of copies of one character with like barely getting another copy of another hero because it's just the luck of the draw, the RNG of the game. And you're just like, this game sucks. And a lot of people are like, no, no, you're just tripping. And you're like, prove me wrong. And then they show you their account and you're like, well, what the fuck is that? And it's just, there is a lot of RNG. So some people are really lucky, some people aren't. And people are like, oh, we'll just start a new account. I think that's bullshit. I think RNG shouldn't be put into a game that heavily to the point where it influences every single decision you do. Because then after that, we all have to become statisticians because now we have to learn how probability works. It's just like, fuck that. I'm not trying to do that. I'm playing games so that I don't have to do math. Well, minimal math. I'm playing games so that I can have fun. So yeah, and also with the diluted pools is the fact that most, well, they have rate ups in this game, so that's fine. But most gacha games don't have those rate ups, and when they do, like I feel like the rate ups are a thing that is a scam because the rate ups, like they give you a 50% chance to get the hero, and we've all known how this works. The 50-50 chance is a scam. The coin toss experiment has been redone, and people realize the more you draw, the closer it gets to a 50-50. The less you draw, it depends on intrinsic probability, and this is dependent on every single draw or um yeah, every single draw you did before. So the problem becomes now you have to draw a lot in order to guarantee that 50-50, and then at that point it is a 50-50. Yeah, you get lucky people. Okay, how many people have gotten that much luck? Probably 1%, because that's how low the chance is to get the hero. You see how the probabilities add up there? That's how many people, because that is the percentage that you get. So when you think about it like that, oh, okay, so only 1% of people are actually getting the 50-50 in their favor. And it goes to show that the rate of banners are literally just not not a good thing. Yes, they're better than not having them, but I think that they need to fix this by just giving you the, like if you get a legendary, you get this hero. And they just make it normal chances like the normal draw. And I think that would be fine because you draw here, you get this hero. And Disla has done the thing with the wish stones, which I think is retarded now because of the whole divinate. Sorry, stupid. But yeah, it just comes down to this thing. Like, why do they think that the games aren't going to die if they keep releasing espers that are going to dilute the pool, and they specifically add them and create the gotcha pools in ways that make getting specific heroes even harder. And then when it comes down to the 50-50, it actually gets harder when there are more espers because even though it is a 50-50, you have so many more chances to proc the other heroes because there are so many more of them. Whereas, yes, you technically have a 50% chance of procking this hero. However, there's only one hero that you're procking, whereas the other ones you can proc hundreds of heroes compared to that. So I think people need to take an AP stats class or just go on brilliant.org. It's not sponsored, by the way. And just go there and realize how stats actually work. Because people think they know how percentages work. Well, you obviously have not taken a single college statistics class in your lifetime because it shows. It shows. And it's really sad. It shows in the gacha gaming industry as well. That's why all these games are doing so well. And it literally counts for 50% of the fucking gaming industry. And yet, a lot of games die. It's because people are addicted, but now people are starting to realize that there are games out there that you just shouldn't play because they're not worth your time. Eventually, you'll hit these paywalls. So yeah, and the thing is, Outer Plane is fine with it, but then they ended up doing the whole scummy thing of, yeah, if it's not their banner, you don't get as many shards. So basically, you get a third of a copy. It's like, what? Why? What does that do for you other than incentivize people that to know that this is a pay to win game, pay to play game? Like, I'm just like, okay. And they only saved it because of this one reason, right? It's because of course you once you unlock that hero, you can just get the 6 star. That's really the only reason that this game is still afloat. And I think that's what I need to say. That's what content creators need to understand is that it feels like every other gacha game out there, except for one thing, and that's the fact that you can get shards of your 3 star and max them out to 6 star eventually, which is cool. But it goes back to the thing where like it's the same Esper fusion problem that Dislight had, where Camille her last fusion took fucking years to get, and the heroes are going to be the same thing. They're going to take not years, but it's going to take forever to get because and arguably people say, oh, you shouldn't need an R6 then, and I'm like, well, I beg to differ because there are already millions of accounts with R6s, and you're like, oh, well, they paid for it, and I'm like, okay, and it's like they paid for it. Yeah, they have a full R6 team. I'm just asking for one. So yeah, it just goes down to that. All right. So then there's the third part of the gacha gaming industry that keeps killing all these games, right? That is part of the law of diminishing returns. So it's not. We're gonna stop with the diluted gacha, and that comes with the weapons too. They release the weapons as well. So the second part is the paywalls. The fucking paywalls. They seem to think that this is going to make people spend money, but really what it does is it makes people uninstall because they will understand that this is going to be a feature in the game that is going to occur more than once. If you get it super early, you know it's going to occur more than once. And gacha gaming companies love this because it is the one way to stop people from progressing for free. And it goes down to the fact then, how can this game be called free to play friendly then? How can all these games be called free to play friendly in any way, shape, or form if your free progress is eventually stopped by a paywall? People are like, they need to make money somehow. Fucking microtransactions. They exist for a reason. Shut the fuck up. Get out of my chat. Get out of my channel. You're a stupid sheep that needs to understand we need to progress. We need to evolve the gacha gaming industry. It can't just be static, and that's what it's been for the most part. Yeah, we get better visuals and insane gameplay, but the core aspects of gacha gaming are still the fucking same thing. The law of diminishing returns. Because they think that's how they make money, but really what it does is it does the exact same thing to them. They get diminishing returns for spending more work releasing stuff. Prime example of that, Dislike. Prime example of that, Plarium. Plarium, Raid is dying and Macarena is dying. Why? Because they keep trying to push content that is literally pay to get, and half of the time it's either sucky or it's broken. Because they don't know how to balance shit because they're like, oh, we need to either overmarket it or we need to make the players happy. And they're not fixing the actual problems in the game. And then what happens is that they get diminishing returns and the players are also getting diminishing returns. So it becomes a feedback loop. You see gacha gaming industries, it becomes a fucking feedback loop. So now diminishing returns happen on both sides. First it happens to the players though, which is why y'all can't recover. If it happened to the companies first, well, it doesn't work that way. And that's the problem. It happens to the players first, and then they lose their trust, and then the companies die. And then a great game, or a game that was once great, ends up dying because of the greed of a company without actually understanding what the core problems of the game are. And then, of course, this game has some paywalls. So that if I keep facing more, I faced two so far, right? So I was doing adventure, right? So 9-11 is a paywall. um Challenge, right? And you could say, oh, you just need to grind more. I've been grinding like almost 2 hours a day on this game, no joke. I've been trying to decrease that amount because again, this is supposed to be average gaming. That's what I'm trying to push out. That's what I'm trying to push out for my content for people. This is average gaming. Yes, I'm gonna try and be sweaty and do cool stuff and crazy stuff, but for the most part, it's supposed to show everybody that these games can still be played by average people. But the gotcha gaming industries keep letting people down by following the business market of diminishing returns. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but it is literally the one thing. It is the main thing that is keeping the gotcha industry back. There are a lot of things that are doing that, but that is one overarching thing that is a main theme in the downfall of gotcha games, is the fact that the progress becomes really slow, that you get diminishing returns. And then the developers get diminishing returns because they keep pushing out pay to play content, pay to get content, and then the game gets an EOS and then it's over. So here's the second paywall, right? Somebody try and do stage 6 here with my team at their levels, right? So I had 13k more power. The power systems as well. They don't fucking matter shit. Like, I don't understand what's the point of having them in the game. So, like, look at this, right? I go to weapon identification or whatever. I go to this. I can see why people have left the game. It makes sense because these are red flags that stop people from playing. Yes, it's still one of the. So, look at this. Oh my god, I'm so much fucking stronger than this team and I'm still gonna lose. That's so fucking stupid. So, here, right? 13k more powerful. And yeah, the boss is white. So, usually blue is indication that you can definitely beat it. But even if the boss is white, you'll still be able to beat it so long as you have more power. And there are some caveats. Like if you have like 5k more power, it might be tight, but I literally have 13k more goddamn power than this boss. I have one unit who's strong against that boss, but actually it doesn't matter because that unit does reduce damage for some fucking weird reason. And I have two neutral, and they end up doing more damage than Valentine. I'm like, how the fuck does that make sense? How in the? I know she's a striker, Rona, but even Akari was doing more damage sometimes. I'm like, okay. So yeah, this is another paywall I face, the sixth stage, and that is because they decided to make this character the most broken fucking character in the game, where he just uses his basic and increases evasion on the boss, right? So what happens is that the boss will always increase their gauge move, and it says it's a 50%, right? No, no, no. It happened fucking 60% of the time I was playing the game, at least, if not more. I would say 75 even. So what happens is that the boss will dodge, you do like no damage, and then they increase their weakness gauge. So all that fun you had playing the game, and I know this is like the unique mechanic of the boss, but the fact that you can't even kill the minion, which is spamming the evasion, which is what's causing this to happen, it's like, okay. And they also, it gains you chain points and stuff like that. So you can use your chain points to basically decrease. But the problem is if you don't land it perfectly to the point where you have enough to decrease the chain points, you're kind of screwed because even if you can land some basics, the boss may dodge and just increase their weakness gauge. So this may be one of the worst bosses to face, not just because it's challenging, it's literally impossible to beat it even with more power. Like I did this battle, literally one shot in my fucking Rona. I'm supposed to be neutral. I'm supposed to be fucking neutral, and I'm level 74, 5-star Rona. Upgraded 3 times. I'm 2 levels from upgrading her to the max, and then I am 26 levels. 20 fucking 6 levels from her being max level. And like a few, like, yeah, she's gonna go 6-star. That's barely gonna increase her stats. It's gonna give her some AP at the beginning and increase my team's defense by like 10 or 5, whatever it is. That's pretty much it. Yet she still got fucking one-shotted by the boss's ultimate. And I'm like, well, fuck this game. Maybe I should delete this game. Like, I don't understand. I'm not going to because, again, it's still one of the best free-to-play games out there, in my opinion. I would say, though, Mobile Legends Adventures is definitely better. 100%. And it might get worse because Mobile Legends is releasing legendary heroes, which are basically becoming what these three units are. But Mobile Legends Adventures will at least give you enough epics to push far enough. However, it is getting to the point where I'm like, it seems like the legendaries are like what I need, or the chaos and the dark heroes, which they, sorry, chaos and order, which Mobile Legends Adventure has also addressed that, and they've actually done a pretty good job of that. The only problem is the legendaries, but we'll see what they do because again, they've only released three characters, and they've also been still implementing the legendaries into the game overall. So far, they've just been releasing them as like they're here, which is kind of stupid. They should just release them completely, and it would they would make so much more money. Like really, all of these gotcha games, if they had me as a marketer, they would be pulling in billions, and they would have like billions of players. I'm not even playing because it's simple. From my point of view, it is simple to fix these games. It is so simple. I could do it in a week. It is so simple. I could literally do it by myself on a computer for a week if I had the right coding skills. Obviously, I don't know what, and also if I worked on the project and knew how the code would work, because every code is different. But yeah, like it'll take me a month, I said, because I have to learn the code, and that'll just be me doing it myself. However, if a company hired me and they gave me full control of the team that is coding, lickety split, a week, this light, top of the charts again. Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact. I mean, those games are still visually very good, but I still think they're a scam because they still keep releasing new heroes. The pools are so diluted. Like it is a thing with gacha gaming industry. That's why it's becoming a scam as a whole, and why people keep releasing videos on things called wallet gamers, because it's setting a bad precedent. It is. It is setting a bad precedent for the future. Precedent. Sorry, precedent, not president. Precedent. Um, and basically, what's gonna happen is the gacha gaming industry will die. Like I know people are like, oh no, people will still spend. You're gonna have the very few whales that are still spending, and because what's gonna happen is streaming is gonna take over once the technology gets strong enough. If gacha gaming industry and mobile gaming industries continue to make this malpractice that drives players away in general. All right, so that was the two first, right? So we did over like massive pools, overinflated pools for the gacha. Second would be the paywalls that they just add everywhere. And then the last thing, right, is the resources and free stuff. It seems to think that people don't know the slogan that free is fun. Whereas paying stuff for money not only is a conscious decision, but a life decision. Like you literally, for some people, because they spend like ridiculous, like people can spend hundreds of thousands of games on this. And I'm like, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sorry, on mobile games. And I'm like, what? With that money, I could probably save the world. I would start investing. I would try and make as much money as possible. I would try and start my own company. I would go to school and get my PhDs and certificates that I needed. Like with that amount of money, I could do what I originally wanted to do in life, and that was save people. Very simple. I wanted to be an innovator in the technology industry, but first, what I wanted to do is fix climate change. And I've been working really hard on that, as y'all have seen, just in general. But the thing is, I don't have the tools or education for that, and the education system itself sucks. I've experienced it myself. College is a sham. Like it's literally just a business program, and the more you pay, like it's so stupid. And the way they teach you is like, we're not teaching you, we're giving you information, and you teach yourself. And I'm like, then what the fuck am I paying you for? I'll just get this information off the internet from reliable sources, and because I know how to do my own research, thank you very much, and then just call it a day. Like why would I need to go to school for that? This is the thing that's becoming a problem. And yeah, it's just really sad. So yeah, so let's go back to the third part, right? We're making the third point. So free stuff, free currencies, free stuff. It seems like companies just in general seem to be very stingy. This game apparently gives you the 60 demiurge draws. I'm like, great. That is one great example. What about the rest of the fucking time? it seems like they think that for a surplus of for them to give a surplus of like just currencies and stuff in the game for people to like just be like, oh, this is awesome, free stuff. It needs to be a special occasion. Why? You already do that with the story mode and just like other stuff in general. But what you do is you either give the bare minimum or you give the same shit for the entire time, even if it gets progressively harder. And you're like, oh, because it's progression. But there's my counterpoint. If you have to progress that far, then why aren't the amount of rewards you get increasing as well? And companies are like, oh, they do. And it's like, well, if I look at a chart and look at the amount of progress I have to do per day, like how many days I have to spend to progress to a certain point, rather than what I get in return for doing that and how many rewards I need, you can see that that line of me getting those rewards is really low. It's probably a negative slope because it's diminishing returns. Again, it comes to the point where even the dailies, you're basically getting nothing. It's like, why isn't that like 5 times the amount by the time you get to level 100? And it comes back to the same point. Companies think that paywalls, the law of diminishing returns, is the way that they can get money, but then it becomes a feedback loop again. They get hit with the law of diminishing returns, the game ends, everyone's unhappy. Well, you know how to fucking fix that. Stop being scum companies and actually listen to the player base and do these three things. Get rid of overinflated gotcha pools. You can have your main gotcha pool with the overinflation if you want, if people want to spend their life away, but you can have gotcha pools that are like, you get a legendary, you get this hero, or you get this premium, you get a premium hero, like you pull a premium hero, you get the hero that you select. Like, it's that simple. Why not? And then people are like, oh, because we want to make money. You're still going to make money, especially if you're releasing content like this light was. Like, if you're releasing espers like once every 2 to 4 weeks, or sorry, characters every 2 to 4 weeks, at least two or even one, you're still going to make money because there are going to be those people who are YouTubers or content creators who are going to want to review the hero as soon as they come out so they get the most views, so they get all the players to watch their videos first. And then they're going to max out and do gameplay. And then there'll be the free to play who get the hero just once and then do free to play content on that. So there will always be whales and there will always be dolphins. And there will always be an incentive to spend money if microtransactions are a thing. But companies seem to think that in order for them to push their marketing, they have to make sure that the game is as detrimental as possible as soon as possible. Like this game is a prime example. 3 weeks? Are you kidding me? I spent 3 weeks and I face a paywall. I'm just like, okay, okay. So yeah, this isn't shouting out or playing specifically because I still think it's second in my ranking of best free to play games out there. Mobile Games Adventures is taking the spot for me because it just gives you so much, just long term as well. Like, yeah, my progress has slowed down a lot. I think I'm at a point where I am close to the snail's pace, but again, I've been playing that game for almost 2 months now. So that is so decent and so much better compared to Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Nikkei, whatever you want to call it. All these fucking games, even Outer Plane. Why? Because the company understood how to keep players playing. And yeah, the company itself isn't perfect. They've had a lot of problems as well, and there's still some problems with their game. But it still takes the cake for the best free to play game that I've played. 100%. Even better than E7. Because E7 is fine, but there's a cult following on that, and that's mostly because a lot of people stayed playing that game. And it's fine. That game is pretty fun. The thing is, though, it takes a lot of grinding. Like, you have to spend hours on that game in order to have anywhere near, like, what the top players have within a year, which is ridiculous to me. Within a year, you should be in the top players, but it shouldn't take you 2 hours of grinding a day to get there for a year. It's just ridiculous. 365 days, and you're spending 2 hours every single day. So you're spending at least 730 hours in total, about of an entire year, basically, just playing the game so that you can get to where the top players are. And yeah, you can have fun along the way, but most of the time it's literally just a grind. Why do they think that the grind is what games need to be? Yes, there should be some progression, but progression should increase. It should never decrease. This is my problem with gacha gaming industry as a whole, and I think is the sole overarching problem of what the gacha gaming industries are facing as they collapse. And it comes down to that single term that I kept repeating like a freaking crackhead: law of diminishing returns. Happens as the company gets more greedy because they're losing money and they don't understand what the problem is. And it might not be that they're being greedy, it's just that the company thinks this is the way to make money because it's been working for other gotcha games. But again, I have to reiterate, woke culture is a thing. It's spreading, and it's spreading like wildfire, and I love it because it's showing governments that they can't be corrupt. It's showing politicians, sorry, it's showing like just the rich in general that they can't control us, and it's showing the world that they can't suppress the truth, that it will come out and we will act on it, and if we have to rebel, we will. We're very close. There's already wars breaking out. Like, if y'all just take a step back and look at the media from outside the US, you will see that there is a lot of shit going on. And even in the US, there's a lot of shit going on. But again, media suppresses all of that. And I am it's really sad. It's really sad. I went on a rant again. Anyway, AOG Gaming here. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. Really shows your support. Helps me out. Keeps you up to date on my content. I am still going to not post this as an Outer Plane video, but I am still showing you Outer Plane because this game still has those problems. And they're red flags, Smilegate. So it's one thing you should fix. If anything, this game should be a million times better than E7 because that game should have been your learning point. And while that game is great, like I keep saying, progression seems to slow down no matter what, and I don't understand why. It should increase the more time you spend on the game. That's usually how most console games work anyway, too. The more time you spend on the game, the more progression you get. Eventually, yeah, there are some like plateaus, but they should be very short-lived plateaus, and they should be strategic plateaus where they don't just hit you out of nowhere. They should be, oh yeah, you're stuck because there's a very specific thing that you need, and it can't be like, oh yeah, you have to get this hero or you have to get this weapon, and the only way to do that is to pay. It should be, oh yeah, you can just blitz this battle or grind these shards for this hero and get a copy of it, or get a copy of the weapon by just blitzing and getting lucky, and then you can upgrade it, max it out, and then use it, and then you're done with the plateau because you're able to get past that paywall. That's simple. And if people are too lazy to do that, then the paywall can become the way for whales to just spend money. But in fact, that has been the opposite. The paywalls are just there to stop the free to play, and it doesn't really matter for the whales. So, again, there are a few things you need to fix, Outer Plane, Smilegate, but I still think your game takes number 2 spot in my ranking for best free to play games out there in general. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. As always, AOG Gaming here. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. Really shows your support. Helps me out. Keeps you up to date on my content. 134 subscribers last time check. So we're just increasing. Amazing. I will have outer play content if I don't keep facing paywalls. If not, I might have to make a game on what to change in outer plane. But I guess this is a message to outer plane too, because you are following the same malpractices that causes these games to die. Anyway, as always, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.